So I made a video about a year ago talking about how I wasn't that excited for the pandemic to end because I felt like I didn't have that much to live for, I guess. And I felt very depressed, and I felt like there just wasn't that much to look forward to. And I guess I just wanted to make a video saying that I don't feel like that anymore, but I didn't want it to be like a I'm fixed or I'm done kind of video, because I'm not. And life is still throwing curveballs and is still difficult, and I feel like it's still more difficult for me than it could be. But I think from this year I'm just feeling a lot better, and January and February were still kind of harder, but from about March something changed and something lifted. I felt like maybe for the first time ever, I don't feel depressed. And in that old video, I felt like that wasn't gonna be possible for me. Like, I was just always gonna feel like that. So I wanted to capture that feeling, even if it doesn't last a long time. I don't want to jinx it. It's only lasted a couple of months. But I came to the conclusion I don't feel that way anymore. And I started thinking maybe something in my brain changed as well, which is possible. I feel like I read somewhere that your brain doesn't develop fully till you're 25. And I definitely felt like a huge shift. It's weird because I've always been scared of this age, later 20s. I felt like everybody would be settling down, getting careers, getting married, and I just never really saw that for myself. I just thought I would be left behind, and I just didn't really want to go through it as, not being sure whether I want kids, whether I want marriage, whether I want the things that a lot of people do in this age range still. And with this looming deadline of 30 that, our generation is obsessed with. But the reality has been, I almost want to say that this is my favorite age, even though I did have a kind of the pandemic whiplash of feeling like I should be 24 and I'm not. I'm 26. So there was a bit of that lost time feeling. But yeah, as I said, I felt really something in my brain shift. I want to take some credit because I did do a lot of stuff to try and change things, but I don't want it to be a 5 things to change your life, because again, I want to stress that it's a journey and I'm not done by any means. But I just wanted to say that I feel better, and that if you're feeling like I was feeling in the last video, you can feel better, even if it's for a bit of time in the future. And maybe that's worth sticking around for, even if it gets bad again, then maybe it'll get good again. And that's what really kept me going, is feeling like maybe one day I won't feel like this, but I didn't really believe it was a possibility. So what did I do? 5 tips to fix your life. I feel like the stuff that helped me, I started doing around that time that I made that video. It all kind of started there. I made that video in March, and in around May. So it's been a year now that I started habit tracking. And that sounds like such a productivity hack, but I think there was just very little structure to my days, and there was very little things that I could count on to bring me joy or satisfaction. And I had very little outlets to get my emotions out, to release energy and things like that. So for almost a year, I've been meditating every day, journaling every day, stretching every day. And those are really the pillars of my mental health right now. And they sound small, but I've really noticed the effect of meditation especially, and just how it helps me to not boil over. I feel like before my emotions were always boiling over, and this just keeps them at a simmer, you know. It didn't fix me, but I can just, I have a little bit more room between me and my thoughts and my feelings, and it helps a lot. And yeah, it's not a huge thing, but it's something, and it really helped. Journaling is the same, just helps not boiling over, and also helped me not dump and overshare with people so much. I felt like kind of a burden to people, and that I always felt like, oh no, there won't be anyone to tell this thing that I'm struggling with, and I was always panicking that I couldn't find somebody to talk something through with, and then I realized I can be the person to talk it through with myself. That makes sense. And that I don't have to rely on other people. I mean, it's nice to get that from people, but you don't want to be dependent on that. And I didn't want every interaction to be me complaining about something or being upset about something and them having to help me, which I felt like was happening. So those were kind of the stereotypical things. And then I think there was like a deeper healing element to it, which for me, I also should say I left a house that I felt was toxic, that I felt very unhappy in, and I kept telling myself, you know, it's you. Like, if you can't be happy here, you won't be happy anywhere, and it's not that bad, and all this stuff. But it helped a lot, just changing my environment. And even though I kept telling myself, oh, you'll just take yourself wherever you go, you'll be depressed everywhere, you need to fix your mindset. And I guess that can work sometimes, but it wasn't the case for me. Like, sometimes you're just in a bad situation and you need to get out. And I wish someone had told me that, or I feel like people did tell me that, but I kept wanting to take responsibility for it. Yeah, but for me, a big thing in this past year has been letting go of people and things in my life that were not serving me. And that sounds so like not even serving me, but people who I actually loved, but I felt like they didn't value me, or they didn't care about me as much as I cared about them. And that's heartbreaking because it's not about like eliminating toxic people, you know. Like I was probably also toxic. I don't even think they were toxic, but it was just an imbalance where I was living this script where I felt like, oh, I'm the worst person, like I'm less valuable, therefore I need to make all the effort in relationships, because if I don't keep it going, it'll end, and I can't afford it to end, because then I'll be alone. And that's not a healthy relationship, and a lot of my relationships felt like that. And those were not bad people, and they didn't do bad things, but I just didn't feel good in those relationships. It's learning to let go of something you love. It was a challenge, and it was just a constant self-betrayal for me being in those kind of dynamics. And I think that was a huge step for me, actually. And just fighting the urge to be like, no, I need to fix it. I need everybody to like me. I need it to be okay. I need to keep it going, because then what? And yeah, there was a period where a bunch of those, I started fighting that urge, and I was kind of lonely. I was, like, the thing that I had been fearing, it did come. But something happened where, like, I guess it's what they say, it's like, I had room now in my life for other things. And yeah, it took some time, and it sucked for a while. But I did start to feel better. Even alone, I respected myself more. And I just didn't have that feeling of, like, ick, where you're trying to chase down somebody's attention or their love because you feel like you can't do without it. It's such a desperate, ugly feeling, and I just didn't want to do it anymore. I couldn't. And yeah, magically some things happened, and I started finding myself open to other things. And I knew that, okay, being lonely is hard, but I can do it. Like, it won't kill me. And it's better than what I was feeling before. It's still better, even though it's not super healthy, I think. Yeah, and thankfully some people did come into my life that filled the void, and I felt a lot better because I could set the standard for those relationships, and I knew what not to do anymore. I knew if I was feeling like I'm pulling on this too hard, like I'm trying to make this happen. It's not a mutual friendship. So yeah, that really helped me, and it was really healing. Another thing I want to say is I did a lot of healing about my past. The journaling helped a lot as well. I journaled the fuck out of last year. And I actually haven't been in therapy since January because I felt like I needed to act rather than, I felt like therapy was keeping me in a loop of talking about my problems and talking about things I couldn't do and talking about things that bothered me and that I was sad about, and I felt like I wasn't moving. And ideally therapy should do that for you, but it wasn't doing that for me. So I haven't been in therapy, but I have been in therapy in the past, and I think that's helped as well. But I also, the act of stopping therapy with the aim of acting on things was very important. Because then I had a promise to myself of I'm going to consistently push myself at my own pace. And that was also a big key for me, of pushing my comfort zone but at my own pace and trying to stay as much as I can in my own lane and saying, okay, you know what, things are hard for me that are easy for other people. It's true, and it sucks, and I wish it wasn't that way, but it just is what it is. And all I can do is move forward at what I can do. And that's still something I'm coming to terms with. It's very hard. It's very hard to know that things that are really easy for other people, you really struggle with. And then, yeah, I'm still accepting that, and it's really hard. But I've been really good at it, I think. Just trying to have this tunnel vision just on my own things and not being like, oh my god, other people are getting married, they have a career, they can do all this, they travel, they blah blah blah, like just zoning out of that, being like, okay, like it's fine, they're doing that thing and I'm doing this thing. That's all I can do right now. And it's very hard to get to that place, and I'm not there all the time. I'm barely there most of the time, but that's where I'm going. And I felt a lot less resentment towards people. I felt a lot less comparison when I was just concentrating on my next step and just being more immersed in that than what other people were doing. And it kind of came simultaneously, whereas the more I was doing things, the less I cared about other things, and the less I cared about other things, the more I was able to do my thing. And yeah, I don't have that sinking feeling now when other people succeed. Not as much. There's still like a human tinge of like, you know, of jealousies and envy, but I don't wish for other people to fail or stumble. I want them to get what they want, and I have more of an abundance mindset where it's like they're getting what they want and I'm gonna get what I want, and we can all have what we want eventually. Not on the same timeline, not the same day, not in the same way. Like, I also don't want all those things that other people are getting, and that's a really healthy mindset to be in, I think, and creates a lot less competition. And yeah, I don't feel like I'm as much in competition with everybody I meet, or that if they succeed they're taking something away from me. But yeah, it's hard. It was hard coming to terms more with the fact that I'm highly sensitive and that not everyone gets it, and that it's inconvenient and it's annoying to other people, and trying to not feel like a burden and not feel the shame that comes with it, of feeling like you have a lot more needs than other people. But again, it's just something I feel a lot more, I feel like it's doable to come to terms with it at some point, even if I'm not at peace with it, and I have moments where I'm like, why are you like this? And it's really hard, but I can live in it being hard, if that makes sense. And I've accepted that I'm just someone who struggles, but I'm not someone bad, and I'm not unworthy, and I'm not yeah, I'm not a lost cause, and I can still have a nice life, even if it will look different than for other people. And it's really helped me to look to other people, especially on YouTube, people who are autistic, people who are highly sensitive, people who have sensory processing disorders, to see that I'm not alone, because sometimes I feel like I'm alone and I know I'm not, and I know it's the symptom of these disorders that you feel alone. But sometimes I do feel like I'm the most difficult person in the world, and so it really helps me to see that on the internet. Also, therapy with my mom, I should say, has been very healing for me as well. I also started volunteering and getting more meaning in my life, and it's led to some connections that I'm really grateful for. And I've been challenging my phone anxiety and all my other anxieties, just pushing any little thing I can, and the feeling of progress, I think, has been the thing that saved me. I think I had a good instinct about the fact that I needed action, even though it's little actions for me. It has really turned things around, and I don't like being me and waking up every day. It's not as much of a chore as it used to be, as it was a year ago. And I just wanted to acknowledge that, even if tomorrow everything goes to shit. Yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge that. So